Alright guys, this is going to be properties with imaginary numbers. So imaginary numbers is the I. We'll talk about more of simplifying square roots in a second. So this is adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So here we go. The easiest one is going to be addition. When you are adding i's, they act just like x's. So if we are adding, we are going to be combining like terms. In other words, we're going to do 3 plus our other real number, which is just 5, so 3 plus 5. And then we're going to take negative 2i, and we are going to add the like number, so in this case, negative 3i. So we have 3 plus 5 we can combine, because they, again, are real numbers and are like. We have negative 2i and negative 3i that make negative 5i. So you're doing the same thing you did with x's. Combining like terms, meaning just adding and subtracting the coefficients. The second one, we have subtracting. So there's a little bit of a situation with the negative. The way I handle a negative is I'm going to change it to a positive, and I'm going to basically distribute a negative 1 into our parentheses. So if we had a negative times a positive 1, we'd end up with a negative. If we'd have a negative 1 times a negative 18i, we'd end up with a positive. I'm going to show you another way to do that also. Now it becomes just like the problem over here where you are combining like terms. So we have the real number of 4 plus the real number of negative 1. Okay, so those are your real numbers. And then you have your imaginary numbers of negative 7i and positive 18i. Again, because you changed that positive sign in the middle. So we'd have 4 plus a negative 1, which gives us 3. Negative 7i plus 18i gives us a positive 11i. Okay, the only other way to deal with that is actually to subtract your terms instead of switching it to a positive. So I'm just going to rewrite the original problem. So 4 minus 7i minus 1 minus 18i. Okay, so we would go and we would do 4 minus 1, negative 7i minus negative 18i. So again, that negative sign has to go in between our like terms from one parenthesis to the other. So now again, we would have basically 4 minus 1, which gives us 3. We would have negative 7i minus a negative 18i, which when we have back-to-back negatives, it make it sit positive. And again, that would give us 11i. So same answer, just two different ways of doing it. Okay, there is that. Okay, now if we move down to multiplication, so we do FOIL just like we did with polynomials. The only thing that is different is we are not allowed to have I squared in our answer. So I, if you remember, was the square root of negative 1. So I squared is just basically the square root of negative 1 squared. Canceling out the square and the square root, you end up with negative 1. We are going to talk about I cubed and the I to the 4th in a later video. Okay, but right now we don't need it. So we're going to do 2 times 4, which gives us 8. 2 times negative I gives us negative 2i. Negative 3i times 4 is going to give us negative 12i. You're just multiplying your numbers. And then the last one, negative 3i and negative I make a positive 3, and then I times I is going to give us I squared. Okay, our last thing is to change that I squared into a negative 1. So what I do is I just circle it, and I put a negative 1, and I know that I'm multiplying by negative 1. So I'm going to have 8, negative 2i, negative 12i, make negative 14i. And then 3 times negative 1 is going to leave me with a negative 3. I again have like terms, so I can do 8 minus 3 to get my final answer of 5 minus 14i. A couple things with the arrangements that I did not talk about. Usually we represent things in A plus BI format, meaning the real number and then the imaginary number. Okay, I'm going to stop there and I will do division in a new video.